shot shaping is an art form, and it can be used in many instances other than just trying to like fade it around a tree or draw it around a tree or hit it to maybe a little bit more spin. So today I want to go through the core mechanics of the shot shaping feature and also give you some more advanced mechanics for those learning the game on what shot shaping can do for you out on the course. And to start it off, I just want to give you the basics of the shot shaping and what it does. So when you hold left bumper or L1 on a PlayStation controller, you'll bring up this menu here on the right. This menu, in the easiest terms, controls your draw, your fade, your flight path of the ball, and also adjusts how much spin you put on the ball. So if you drag this all the way to the left as a right-handed, this is a fade. If you bring it all the way to the right, this is a draw. You can also adjust, again, flight path. So you can add loft, so you hit it higher. And for a driver, you get more distance. Or you can hit it lower for your loft and take off distance. And you can do any combination of this. I mean, if you want to do a high fade, you can do a high fade. If you want to do a high draw, you can do a high draw. You can do any combination of this, but the more draw and fade and loft that you put on the ball, the harder it is to hit your accuracy. As you can see, it is getting smaller as I do this. And if I had tempo turned on, it would also affect the tempo as well. That's the left stick, though. What about the right stick? Well, the right stick is attack angle, but just look at it as spin. And it's a little confusing for people who are just starting out what this does. If you go up on it, this actually reduces spin. So makes the ball roll out more. So it will be at the loss of distance, but the ball will hit and roll a lot more. If you go down on it, that adds spin. So for the driver, make the ball travel farther, but it'll have more spin on it, which essentially will make it stop sooner. And that works for, all of your irons too. So if you were to do, like, let's say, max spin on this and hit the ball, hits, stops pretty quickly. Now let's try this. Into the wind, it's a little bit different too. So that's going to reduce travel, but it hits and it rolls a lot more. And you can do that with every single club. But that's just the basics. That's just the basic mechanics of what this does. And you can do any combination. I want to hit a fade and I want to add some spin. You can do that. I want to hit a fade and I want to take off some spin, make it roll out more. You can do that. I want to do a high cutting fade and make it spin or make it stop in its tracks more. You can do that as well. But there are things that the shot shaping does that'll help you out on the course other than just drawing and fading the ball. One thing is, you can come out and fine-tune all of your distances. Let's say you're in between 180 and 170. It's like 175 to the pin. You can do a partial if you'd like. Or you can do any combination of this to then get the distance that you want. So I need 175. We can do that. Need to add a little bit of spin on it. We can do that too. Maybe I want to do maybe I need to do 174, 173, 172, 71. Whatever combination you have, you can find with the shot shaping for in between all of your clubs. Now, a big thing with this is it comes down to coming out here and actually like kind of charting out your clubs. But after you've played enough, you will kind of just know like, okay, that's going to take 5 yards off of the 6-iron. If I do it that. If I need more, I can go down more, but like this is where it starts. I'll just bring it down here because I need 5 yards off of the 6-iron. So the more you play, the more that you kind of realize what you can and can't do with your distancing when using this method. Now, it will make the accuracy and the tempo harder to hit, yes, but there are a lot of people do much better with their tempo on full shots as compared to partial shots. Because with partial, you have to hit the power and you have to hit the tempo. So a lot of people will struggle with that. So having the ability to kind of chart out distances where you can take a full shot is available to you through shot shaping. There are also things that you can do with shot shaping, kind of like if you're going into the wind, which also in turn makes it a lower trajectory of a flight path. But let's say you have this 3-wood, and we're kind of hitting into the wind right here. But we have a little bit of a downslope here that we'd like to hit. So if we hit this straight up, this 3-wood, we get a nice 101. It is going to go 240, carry out to about 252. I want to keep that under the wind a little bit. Maybe get a little bit more roll if I can get it. So let's bring this back, decrease the spin a little bit. Kind of keep it under that wind, just a touch. Hit the slope a little bit better. 240. We carried it out to 255. So we've cut under the wind a little bit from where we were standard. We rolled it out a little bit more, so we could actually get just a touch more distance if needed by maybe cutting it under the wind just a little bit, like decreasing the loft, decreasing the spin a little bit, taking that same shot and kind of staying under the wind, having the wind not affect it as much, and hitting that downslope a little bit more firm and rolling it out. So there are ways that you can kind of increase. It's not by much, but there are ways that you can increase, especially if you're in a kind of a tight spot where you need to get under that wind to get an additional like 2-3 yards. You can do that all through shot shaping and loft, spin. You can do all of that. Again, it takes a lot of practice, but this is more just like the more advanced things that you can do with the shot shaping. But other than just like your distances and changing that and getting your partial distances, kind of eliminated out of your game if you would like, there are things that you can do with draw and fade that also help in instances of, like, let's say going into a green. So we have this green here. I'm just going to hit this straight up. We're going to aim it at the same exact spot. I'm going to hit this straight up at the green. Get 100%. And this finishes way off. Right in there. And that's fine. If you want, you can just adjust so that you actually hit the green. So, you would just bring it over and adjust for that to bring it into the green. But let's say maybe that there's, kind of like with this green, how it's really sloped out right here. Or maybe it's like sloped out right here. So coming in from the right side, coming into this green, if the pin's right here, if you're coming right at it, well, what if you slow it and you hit this slope here and it just flies out? Well, there's actually something that you can do to kind of minimize wind a little bit. And that is, we can just fade it into this green. So you remember where it was before. Now, fading into it, we kind of cut that wind out. And instead of landing over here, we've now landed here. About the same distance. The wind's going to cut that distance down a little bit. So you may have to, maybe get under it by doing a slight deloft. If we need to get the same distance, we can just deloft it a little bit and get that additional distance. But you can cut the wind out almost in half just by fading and drawing. Now, this is going to be different for everybody depending on their shot shaping skill through their fittings for how much you can shape. But you can actually go through and cut the wind out, especially if you're in a tight situation where it's, like I said, man, this wind, it's going to drag it to the left, but man, there's this huge hill here sloping out from right to left, and I don't want, to carry with the wind and then hit that slope and have it just catapult and run forever and ever and ever and ever. I want this to land at a more straight path, not at a right to left path, but a more straight path. So you can do that all with the shot shaping to cut out that wind and land the ball more straight up. Instead of having like just a heavy right to left flow of the ball coming out of the air, you can kind of straighten it out so that you can land it more in the spot that you're looking for, not letting the wind dictate the shot for you. And that goes, every club. You can do this with every single club in your bag. So here, we'll take a straight sand wedge. So a straight sand wedge in here. See how it's really right to left flowing because of the wind? So there's a sand wedge. Well, let's fade that. Again, it's going to take distance off because of the wind and because you're fading it, but you reduce the effect of the wind and you land the ball more right of the location that we had when we just did a straight sand wedge in. So you can use that to your advantage across all of your clubs to come into greens that maybe help you to be in a more advantageous spot for birdies or eagles. And of course, I just want to touch really quick. I kind of go over it in other videos, but I do want to just touch on like how to add spin, because people still seem to be a little confused on how to add spin to a ball shot. So if we have just a straight sand wedge that we're taking in, I'm going to show you the default spin that you can do. So this is the default spin that you'll get off of this club coming into this green firmness. That's stock. But I want spin. I want a lot of spin. So again, right side, adjust your spin. So here we go. We're going to do this shot. Now with more spin on the shot. It's like, okay, that's good. That's better. You know, it gets it to stick a little bit more. I want max. I want the most spin I can get. Now you'll see distance is cut down a lot, but I want the max spin. So we loft it all the way up. We add the most spin. Hit the ball. It's going to come in a lot shorter, but it is going to spin a lot more. So if you're in a situation where, you know, you have to hit it long and spin it back to the cup, like let's say the green is sloping front to back, so away from you the whole time, and you don't want to hit it just straight up because you don't want to lose the ball off the backside of the green. You know, I want it to hit a little bit deep and come back. You can do that. Just kind of club up. Again, take the max spin and loft. Hit that sucker up into the air. Land it a little long. And have it not do that. That was the weirdest spin I think I've ever seen in this game. That should have just came back, but I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened with that one. Let's take another one. See if the same thing happens. It shouldn't. That was a little weird. There. So we've landed it long. We've rolled it back to avoid that front-to-back slope that we might lose the ball off the backside of the green. So that is the short way of how to do spin and max spin. And you can do any combination of that that you would like. Maybe you want to hit it a little bit longer, right? But you want a little bit more spin on it. I mean, you can do that. Just adjust the loft. We still get the spin, but we've hit a little bit further distance. You can do any combination of this that you'd like. But maybe, you know, you want to short it, but you want it to roll more. So let's do that. We've shorted it. We want to take spin off of the ball. We'll hit this shot back in. So instead of coming back, we stop it a little bit more dead in its tracks. And this is all dictated by wind, too. Hitting into the wind is going to make it hit, stick, and come back more. If the wind was at our back, it'll make it carry further. It'll give you a bigger bounce, initial bounce. It'll be harder to get that spin on, but easier to maybe decrease the spin. So a lot of things go into that. But that is how you do spin. And you can do any combination of any of those. You know, I want to, I don't know, do that for whatever reason. So we've kept it low. We've faded to kind of cut out the wind. And we wanted it to not come back to us. We wanted it to, you know, hit and give us our bounce and kind of stop dead. No spin. You can do that. It's all about, you know, practice coming in here, knowing what your clubs do, knowing what the different fade and draw does, knowing your fittings and what you're looking for. The more shot shaping you have on your fittings, the more you can fade it, the more you can draw it, the more spin you can put on the. All of those are affected by the shaping attribute with your fittings. And it also, like, the more fade you do, the less of a penalty you get as well with that shaping attribute. So, knowing your clubs, knowing your fittings, knowing your distances, and knowing which shot to hit at the right time. Let's go over now something a little bit different that you can also use shot shaping for, and that is to negate heavy slopes on fairways or on greens. So let's say you have, something like this. You'll never, I mean, if you're playing courses made by kind of like the really good course designers, you probably won't see something like this. I just wanted to make it kind of as ridiculous as possible to show you what I am referring to. So we're going to aim this just kind of at the base of this hill, and we're just going to straight up hit it. So we get a nice 101. It's going to hit. It's going to bounce out. Now what if we do that same exact shot? This time, we just full fade it into it. So we're full fading into this instead. It hits. And it rolls out. I'll do it one more time. But what I'm trying to show is kind of what shot shaping can do when you're coming into like some of the contours of fairways. So let's say this fairway was just sloping out right to left the entire time. If you just hit a straight up shot into it, it's going to hit into it. It's going to bounce, and it's going to take, about a large of a bounce as it can to the left, depending on the slope. What you can do to negate that a little bit, like if you want to keep it a little bit straighter on the fairway instead of hitting and taking a bounce, you can fade into it. When you fade into something, you're coming down at an angle like this, and instead of hitting and taking a big bounce, the actual ground is going to absorb some of that because you're coming into it a little bit more firm, and it's going to hit and bounce a little bit straighter off of that hill. Instead of hitting and taking a violent bounce to the left, you're able to straighten it out, and maybe there's a nice little, hill or slope that you can hit on the other side. You can hit it like that, have it bounce a little bit straighter out, maybe hit that slope, give you a little bit of extra yards. If you want it to run along that hill a little bit faster, you can just straight draw it in. Stay with that contour. Hit this already coming right to left. You're now drawing it, and you can hit that hill and go down the hill a little bit faster. So let me show that again. We're going to do it right when it turns to 9. So there's 9. So we hit it 101. Straight at this little hill. It's going to bounce. Left. All right. All right, now let's do the 7-iron, but we're going to fade it into it right when it turns to 9. So we're hitting it firm into this hill, and then watch what the ball does. Straight. It comes out a lot straighter. So you can actually get around different contours of the fairway if you kind of want to stay out of hairy situations. Like maybe it's sloping out into the rough. Maybe it's sloping into a bunker. Whatever it may be, you can hit into that and make it so that that fairway, the sloping of that fairway, or green, whatever it may be, isn't as, I guess you could say, like intrusive to the shot that you're wanting to make. And then you can just, again, do the opposite. You can draw it into this if we'd like. Take a much more direct path and use that to maybe get us a little bit more distance. And these are all things, especially this. I use this probably the most to kind of negate some of the sloping of fairways and greens. These are all things that you can use to just kind of manage the course a little bit better. At the end of the day, I mean, you do have to, hit your shots, kid. But it'll definitely help you in kind of taking your game kind of to the more advanced technical level of golf and of PGA 2K. And that's shot shaping in a nutshell. Basic mechanics of shot shaping, advanced tactics of shot shaping, things that you can use out on the course. If there was something that maybe I missed or you feel your fellow golfer should know, make sure to leave a comment down below. If you liked this video, if it helped you, if it's content that you enjoy, make sure to leave a like on the video. Helps me out, helps the channel out, helps the video getting it into the algorithm. And if you liked the video, I'd greatly appreciate you smashing the like button. Subscribe to the channel for more tutorials, tips, tricks, rounds. TGC Tours is going to be starting soon. Society's going. I mean, a lot of content coming out for PGA 2K. So if it's something that you're interested in, please think about subscribing to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it if you did. But I hope you have a great rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world. I will catch you on the next one.